organization. Coming to the importance of organization. Okay, so importance of organization is nothing but what is the significance. Okay, the significance of organizing in management. If at all there is no organizing, means how the management will run, means without organization, without organizing, we cannot perform the functions of management. Why? Because in each and every function of management, organizing is involved. Okay, so organizing is important and basic function of management, and it is the foundation upon which um, the whole structure of management is built. We can say that it is the backbone of management also. Okay, and first one, if we go for a significance or importance of organizing, means first one is facilitates management. Okay, facilitates management. What does facilitates management means the function of organizing is very much necessary for the performance of the other functions of management. Okay, so as I said before, it is helpful for other functions of management like planning, staffing, directing, and controlling. And for the poor organization may result in duplication of work and efforts, or and some of the important operations may be left out also. If at all there is no good organization, or else if at all there is a poor organization, means okay, the results may not be up to date. Okay, the results may not be desired for the organization. If at all there is a good organization, means it facilitates the management performance. Okay, it facilitates the performance of various managerial functions by division of labor, consistent delegation of authority, or job definition is clearly assigned. Okay, and clarity of authority and responsibility relationships are defined clearly. Okay, so if at all we are having a good organization system, means definitely it will facilitates the management. Okay, facilitates the management in performing its functions in the management, in performing the functions of management, other functions of management. Okay, and coming to facilitates coordination. Okay, so coordination is nothing but the cooperation between the individuals working in the organization. Okay, if at all they are working with coordinatively and cooperatively, means definitely effectiveness in the organization can be seen. If at all there is no coordination between the employees, means it results into group dynamics. Okay, conflicts, all this can be seen in the organization. So therefore we may not see the desired results in the organization. So therefore facilitates coordination means, if at all the organizing, it should create clear cut relationships between the departments. If at all we have given clear cut relationships and roles and responsibilities to be performed by the individuals and the departments, means definitely it facilitates for cooperation and coordination between the departments and between the employees in the organization. Okay, and coming to facilitates growth and diversification. Okay, so for this we can say that sound organization helps in the growth and expansion of the enterprise by facilitating the efficient management. Okay, and sound organization helps in keeping the various activities under control, and it increases the capacity of the enterprise to undertake more activities. Okay, so that is known as the facilities and growth diversification. Okay, next one is helps in optimum use of technological improvements. Okay, so how can we see how could be it important for the management. Okay, how could organizing be important in case of optimum use of technological improvements, means sound organization structure. If we give a sound organization structure, means it provides optimum use of technical and human resources. Okay, why? Because the high cost of installation, operation, and maintenance of expensive equipment calls for proper organization. Okay, similarly, sound organization structure helps in optimum use of human efforts through specialization. Okay, as organizations invest more amount on those maintenances, okay, or for installations of plant and machinery, expensive items, okay, so there should be optimum utilization of technological improvements in the organization, optimum utilization of human resources, material resources, okay, financial resources. So all these can be optimally used if at all there is a good organizational structure. Coming to encourages initiative. So encourages initiative is nothing but a sound organizational structure will provide sufficient scope for taking initiative. Okay, persons are allowed to try new ideas for improving their work. Why? Because the policies and guidelines are laid down in such a way that it improves the managerial personnel. Okay, in such a way that the policies and guidelines will be framed by the organizing structure. Okay, so this leads to the scope for individuals to take initiative, okay, for creativity. But within these limits, people are given freedom to show their talent within the policies, within the guidelines. uh, uh, they are within the limit of these policies and guidelines. They can have their, they can show their own talent, they can have their initiative, they can take their initiative within the limits of the policies and guidelines that were framed by the organization, right? Next, better human relations. Okay, so better human relations in the sense it improves a good organizational setup. Okay, and organization consists of human beings and their satisfactions also help in improving human relations. If at all they are very very satisfied in the organization with their roles and responsibilities, with their assigned activities according to the organizing structure. Okay, a clearly defined work, okay, authority, responsibility. So all this leads to the satisfaction of the individuals, which ultimately improves the human relations within the organization. Okay, coming to the last one, provides scope for training and development. So what does provides a scope for training and development? An effective organization facilitates delegation of authority. Okay, so from beginning onwards we are studying about the individuals, the structure, okay, the process and the delegation of authority is very very important here. Okay, so here an effective organization should facilitate a delegation of authority. So delegation of authority is an important here technique for training and development also. Okay, so it is in organizing, delegation of authority is there. It is a concept in organizing. At the same time, it provides for training and development also, scope for training and development also. Why? Because in training and development, the important technique that was used is delegation of authority. Okay, so it is also an important means of directing the subordinates. Oh, the and thus the efficient organization is the basis of successful enterprise. It becomes okay. So these are all the importance of organizing. Okay, and coming to principles of organizing. So what does principles of organizing means? Principles are nothing but those well established and accepted general statements, okay, which are to be used in the process of organizing to prepare a sound organizational structure in the organization. Okay, so in order to follow those rules, these principles are formed. So principles are nothing but to say in one word means they are the accepted general statements. Okay, principles are accepted general statements which are to be used in the process of organizing. Why? Why? Because to prepare a sound organizational structure, these principles are laid down. Okay, again I'm saying why we are using these principles in the organizing means in order to have an effective organizational structure, Why we have to frame effective organizational structure means, in order to get effective results in the organization, in order to get productivity in the organization, in order to get effectiveness and efficiency in the organization, organizational structure should be framed in such a way that, okay, a sound organizational structure at the end of the day should be framed. For that purpose, principles were used. So principles are nothing but the accepted general statements which are to be used in the process of organizing, right? And these principles can be served as general guidelines for managers, okay, for evolving sound and more effective pattern of relationship in designing the organization. And these principles also have been developed by early management writers have developed all these principles by the passage of time, their experiences, okay. These principles have been refined and extended to many modern management scientists also. And some of these principles are, first one is principle of division of labor. If you see all these principles means, mostly they are related to 14 principles of management, as you studied in 14 fails 14 principles of management. Okay, so principle of division of labor means it is nothing but division of the work. Okay, division of work into smaller tasks, smaller parts. Okay, this is the basic principle of organizing. Okay, and this principle represents division of work and activities into small tasks and jobs necessary for achieving a set of objectives. And at the same time, the principle of division of labor encourages, okay, by applying the division of labor, the persons who are involved with that work get specialized in that particular work, which is known as a job specialization. And it increases the efficiency of the employees also by doing the same work repeatedly. And at the same time, it facilitates a smooth flow of work. Why? Because they are habituated to do a particular work repeatedly means, okay, so the smooth work will be there, flow of smooth work can be seen. Coming to second principle. So what is the second principle? It is the principle of functional definition. So functional means performing the functions. Okay. According to this principle, the functions to be performed by an individual employee or by a department must be well defined. So this is a principle while we are organizing, okay, while we are organizing the structure of the organization. Okay, at that time definitely we have to clearly define the performance functions to be performed by individual employees, and at the same time departmental vices also. Why? Because we have different departments like production, marketing, finance, HR. Okay, so each department's functioning should be clearly defined. Okay, and another one is principle of scalar chain. So this scalar chain also we have learned in Henry Fayol's 14 principles. So scalar chain is nothing but um, according to this principle, we can say that the orders or communications should pass through the proper channel of authority, okay, along the scalar chain. Okay, but in some cases there is need for swift action, or the proper channel of authority may not be short circuited by making direct contact with the concerned authority. Okay, so in that cases we can have a direct contact with the top management. Okay, for example, if there is any urgency in the lower level management to contact with the top level management, but actually formal organizations means they have to contact with middle management, then they have to approach top level management. But here if there is any urgency of the situation means, definitely there should be the organization, the organizing structure should made a format in such a way that this lower level management can have a accessibility to the top level management in certain situations. Okay, so in scalar chain we have studied it as a gangplank. Okay, a direct communication with the top management, it is known as a gangplank in a scalar chain. So that is nothing but a shortcut to approach the top management, but actually they have to flow the follow the procedure of hierarchy, but in certain situations they can go for scalar chain, which is nothing but a shortcut to approach the top management. Without going for middle management, they can approach top management. That is known as a scalar chain. But while organizing the structure, at that time we have to remember about the principle of scalar chain, and we should lay down the principles and guidelines to the managerial functions. Okay, so coming to principle of span of control. So what does principle of span of control means? It refers to, okay, um, number of subordinates placed under the command of the manager whose work he can manage efficiently. Okay, and it recognizes that there is a limit in each managerial position of the number of subordinates an individual manager can manage at a time. So span of control means the control that a superior has on subordinate, and at the same time the control that subordinate has on superiors. Okay, here for example, if we want to say span of control means how many subordinates were placed under the manager, okay, and how can he manage them efficiently. So span of control, how many people or how many subordinates a manager can control, okay, control the subordinates. So here in organizing structure, it should recognize that there should be a limit, okay, for managerial position of how many number of subordinates should be given to an individual manager. Okay, and coming to principle of unity of command. So what does principle of unity of command means? The principle of unity of command implies oneness of command, okay, and single source of authority over a subordinate. Okay, unity of command. Command is nothing but a direction. Okay, so direction given, who gives the direction? Directions are given by the superiors to subordinates. So here unity means oneness. So one direction by the one superior to the subordinate. Okay, a subordinate should receive only one command or one direction from superior. If he is working under different superiors, okay, he cannot do the work effectively. So therefore a subordinate should have only one superior, and he should be directed by that superior only. So according to this principle, at the time of designing the structure of an organization, the rule of one subordinate and one superior should be followed. Okay, so that is the sense of unity of command. Coming to principle of objective. So what does principle of objective means? This principle suggests that the objective of organization should be spelled out in the clearest possible terms, and all employees of organization should be made familiar with these objectives. Okay, so that is the thing. So if at all the employees are unknown about the objectives of the organization, means they cannot perform the work effectively. First of all, they should know the objectives of the organization. They should be familiarized about the goals of the organization. Then only they can work for the achievement of organization goals. So clearly at the time of organizing, we have to remember about the principle of objective, how they should be communicated to the employees. Okay, next one, principle of balance. So balance is nothing but all the techniques and all the principles that were followed in the organization structure, okay, they should be properly balanced in the light of overall effectiveness. So different techniques will be used, different principles will be applied. Okay, so all these should be, both techniques and the principles both should be applied in such a way that it should not affect the performance of the organization. They should be properly balanced in the light of overall effectiveness of the organization. Okay, and coming to principle of flexibility. So what does flexibility means? We can change the principles or procedures according to the environment. Okay, so before only in characteristics we have studied organizing should not be static. So static in the sense, if at all they are static, means we cannot rigid, we cannot change those rules and policies. Okay, therefore here, while we are going for organizing structure, principle of flexibility is very very important. Why? Because flexibility means we can change according to the environmental changes, the policies, the guidelines may be changed. Okay, if at all there is a principle of flexibility means, okay, so it leads to the um, growth and diversification of the organizations. Okay, and principle of absoluteness of responsibility. So principle of absoluteness and responsibility is nothing but, according to this principle, responsibility once assumed, okay, by the manager, it cannot be shifted to subordinates. So the entire accountable person or the responsible person should be the manager. He cannot delegate his authority or responsibility to the subordinate. Okay, so that is the absoluteness of responsibility. It cannot be shared by another person. Principle of efficiency. So principle of efficiency is nothing but, organizational structure should be designed in such a way that it should facilitate efficient accomplishment of objectives. Efficiency is nothing but we have to achieve the objectives. So it further states that the structure should permit optimum utilization of resources. Um, Objectives framed, or the design that is framed. So all these should lead to the, or all these should permit that we are utilizing the resources, okay, optimally, maximally. So what are the resources means? The material resources, the men, the financial resources, okay, all comes under the resources. So how efficiently we are using these resources, so that in that way organization structure should be designed. Coming to principle of continuity. So what is principle of continuity means? This principle states that while designing the structure of the organization, due care should be taken, okay, why? To maintain continuity in respect of its existence and functioning. So for that purpose, okay, the organization structure design should be made. Why? Because organizing means it is a continuous process. It is not static, or it is not, okay, a one time activity. So it is a continuous process. So that's why we have to design the organization structure in such a way that there should be function of continuity. Okay, so principle of cooperation. What does this mean? This means cooperation is nothing but a teamwork. Okay, and members should perform the assigned work with cooperation, okay, coordination. Then only the effectiveness of the organization can be seen. Okay, um, next one is principle of parity between authority and responsibility. So parity between authority and responsibility is nothing but the balance. Okay, parity is nothing but the balance between authority and responsibility. Why? Because without authority, responsibility will not be there, and without responsibility, there will not be authority. So therefore there should be a balance between both of those. Only authority cannot sustain, only responsibility cannot sustain. Okay, so therefore a complete balance should be maintained while framing the organization design or structure. Okay, so this is known as authority and responsibility. But in practice, if we see, means this principle is not executed properly, or it is violated. Okay, so this is about the principles of organizing.